Hello, namaste. This is Timothy Halloran. I'm an astrologer from Savannah, Georgia. This is a weekly astrological forecast, this being for the 4th week of September 2015. Today is Tuesday the 22nd. And oh yeah, we are in the midst of so much happening. So much reconfiguration, so much coming and leaving and changing around and tough decisions and challenging situations. I mean, this is a challenging week. And we do have a lot of ground to cover. So first of all, this is eclipse season. In the midst of eclipse season, and we are now in the midst of eclipse season. It's as if all of these interdimensional portals are opening up and there's new stuff that is pouring in and there's old stuff that's getting sucked out. So there is this period of uncertainty, there is this period of change, of reconfiguration, and this is setting the intention, the direction, as well as the challenges that lead us into mastery that we're going to be progressing through in the next 6 months. Now, to add to this, we have Mercury retrograde. Mercury turned retrograde last week and is now slowly starting to back up. Simultaneously, Pluto turns direct this Friday, which means Pluto is not moving at all from our perspective here on Earth. And there is a square between Mercury and Pluto this week. There is a period where we can be having critical, restless thinking. Critical decisions need to be made, tough decisions. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth is some of what we can experience. We've also got Mars square to Saturn this Thursday, which can make us feel, although we may push in one direction, push in the other direction, try to drill at it the best we can, it might feel like we're just treading water. And so the overall recommendation this week I'm going to give right now, and that's to try and be as easy, as gentle, as nurturing to yourself as you can. Tune into yourself, try to let go of all of these changes, all of these things that can be frustrating and can be challenging. If we can let go, if we can tune in, this is a period where we can get in touch with some very, very deep stuff, make some deep realizations, and get in tune with a part of ourselves that is allowing a change, that is blossoming mastery from out of us to take us into the months going ahead. So we mentioned that there is a challenge, and really there is a challenge whenever there's a full moon. And this Sunday is a lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse is basically like a super full moon. So let's mention the moon. Yesterday was our half moon in Sagittarius. Then the moon moved into Capricorn. Tomorrow the moon moves into Aquarius. On Friday the moon moves into Pisces. So this week we're wrapping up these last few signs of the zodiac. Then Sunday evening the moon moves into Aries. And Sunday, 10:50 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the total lunar eclipse at 4 degrees 40 minutes of Aries. And a lunar eclipse is like a super full moon. It's setting the tone for the next 6 months to come. And we feel it. Yes, a lunar eclipse we certainly feel. A full moon we certainly feel. We feel it tangibly. The moon governs our emotions, our feelings. Furthermore, we might realize or know that on full moons, people tend to go more bonkers. Generally, across the world, people tend to go more bonkers on the full moon. Not only because we're feeling more, because there's a challenge inherently with every full moon. Why? Because a full moon is dealing with polarity, with duality. We have the sun opposing the moon, is what illuminates that moon and makes it full. There is an opposition. There is a balancing that is necessary, and that balancing can be the challenge this week. So not only do we have to mention the planetary aspects, we have to talk about this duality between the sign of Aries and Libra. And this full moon in Aries on Sunday, this lunar eclipse, is conjunct asteroid Vesta, opposite the sun, which is conjunct asteroid Juno and black moon Lilith. There is a story and a challenge being told by this lunar eclipse that is coming out of the intention that we set a couple weeks ago on September 13th with the solar eclipse in Virgo. For those who saw that video, we talked about the solar eclipse in Virgo setting this Virgonian next year, and our intentions are to heal ourselves, is to purify, is to fix what needs to be fixed, set straight what needs to be set straight. Our health, our schedule, our regiment. And Virgo is a somewhat self-autonomous sign. It means that you figure out how to take care of yourself, how to function. And there is, of course, a service to other element in Virgo. But Virgo, representing this high priestess energy, is also figuring out stuff for yourself. And we see this lunar eclipse is conjunct asteroid Vesta. And asteroid Vesta is an incredibly Virgonian asteroid, representing the high priestess. This lunar eclipse in Aries also represents individuality and self-autonomy. I got this myself. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm feeling. This is my direction. This is my intention. This is my schedule, my way of doing things, my regiment, my spirituality, my practice. That's what we're talking about with this lunar eclipse in Aries conjunct Vesta. And this is partly coming out of the Virgo solar eclipse, that we do want to fix ourselves. We want to get the regiment straight. We want to be able to live in a schedule that makes us feel healthiest. So there are a particular way of doing things. This is how I like to do it, is Virgo. This is how I like to do it. This is my way. This is my particular way. Combined with Aries is like an instinctual, back off, this is mine, this is what I'm doing. Aries and Mars is instinct. It's this animalistic reaction. So what can we be experiencing this week is reactions. Instinctual, spontaneous reactions. Coming out of what could be experienced as challenges and frustrations and critical decisions that do need to be made. When Mars comes up and pushes into Virgo this Thursday, he's going to immediately square Saturn. When Mars squares to Saturn, it feels like we're treading water. We might have so much work to do. There might be a list of things to do, and it can be challenging. So once again, the recommendation for this week is to be easy with ourselves, gentle with ourselves, flexible as possible, and feel these feelings. The frustration that is there, the challenge that is there, it's so critical, it's life and death. We're not going to make it, or we are. Ultimatum, it's black and white in the area of the mind. Mercury square to Pluto. It's like a critical black and white life or death type of situation this week is what we can be feeling, experiencing, but it might not be reality. This is a temporary situation, which we are learning and growing from, of course. So by getting out of this mind is very critical this week. Get out of this mind that can be confused, that can be excited, that can be going everywhere. We also need to sort of step away from this masculine, do-it-yourself, this is what I do, this is how I do it, I got all this energy and it can go only one way. This is the only way my energy can go. This is a dangerous way to practice this week, because this can be like fitting a square peg in a round hole and you're just beating this thing in there and it might not work. This is a period of readjustment. We need to be flexible. But most importantly, if we can tune in to our feelings, if we can get out of the chaos, of the frustration, and it can be painful. You know, when your mind starts going 1,000,000 miles per hour and there's so much to do, your stomach starts to clench up. This is a week that our stomachs can be clenched up. And if we don't give ourselves the time, the luxury to catch a break, to breathe, we can be situated in physical pain. We can get sick. We can get overstressed, have mental breakdowns. This is what happens if we do not nurture and take care of ourselves. We do have to take care of ourselves. And that is a part of setting down of the masculine. This is what I do. I work 9 to 5, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this. We need to be a little distant from that this week. And furthermore, we're dealing with the polarity between Aries and Libra. So we already mentioned this Vesta energy conjunct the lunar eclipse, which is, this is my way, this is how I want to do it, this is my goals, my ambition, my direction, and it's instinctual. And it's okay. We can harness this energy. It's very powerful energy. But we need to be smart about it. We need to be flexible. We need to take everything with a grain of salt this week and say, okay, that could work out well, but there are more possibilities here. And furthermore, there are other people. This is the main thing going on. This is the underlying energy. Is this lunar eclipse is opposing the sun with Black Moon Lilith and Juno in Libra. That is a very powerful symbol that is very direct. The message is blatant with this one. Why? Well, we need to talk about Juno and Black Moon Lilith and how they being in the sign of Libra is very powerful and significant. Why? Because both the story of Lilith and Juno these are feminine beings. Yes, Juno is Jupiter's wife. Lilith is Adam's first wife. That get suppressed, that get ignored, that get shoved under the patriarchal, male-dominant views of this world. And when we understand that we're not talking about solely gender, physical gender, we're talking about the fact that everything in existence has gender, everything has this masculine, feminine energy. We live in a world that's masculine energy dominant. And this masculine energy says, think more, do more, yeah, outward, prove yourself, prove your worth, prove your success, and if you're not doing it your way, you're not proving your worth, then you're a failure. And this is a very harsh, limited, fixated, unbudging, unmoving energy, and that's what we can be feeling, is the part in ourself that doesn't want to budge. The part in ourself that is fixated, the part in ourself that is obsessed. And our mind is just like, I know Tim said to relax, blah, 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 but I can't let go. This is affecting me. So all of this energy, with Juno and Black Moon Lilith, what does Juno and Black Moon Lilith want? They want equality. They want true partnership. They want harmony. Being in the sign of Libra, this is the sign of partnership, of marriage, of harmony, of creativity. What are we talking about here? We're talking about love, and we're talking about the dynamic between self and other, and how this dynamic can be enormously challenging, because we have a whole inner dynamic of this is who I am, this is how I refer to myself, this is how I think and what I need. And then there is also the need for relationship, for partnership, but I feel included, but I feel cared for, but I feel loved. And it's equal, and it's fair, and it's balanced. And that's the challenge this week. Is it happening? We are looking inside of ourselves and seeing the disbalance. We are looking in our relationships and we're seeing the disbalance. And this is the challenge that can result in so much progress, evolution, and benefit. The challenge is a call for us to resolve these issues, which is a stepping into a more loving life. When we're dealing with the Aries-Libra polarity, it is indeed a polarity. There is a paradox that is at play. The paradox is, how do we integrate things that seem polar opposite? And the way we understand that is through understanding that polar opposites are in fact one and the same. They are connected. They are the same, but in varying degrees of, Aries is the most varying degree of the most independent, and Libra is the polar opposite of other. But are they one and the same? They are in fact one and the same. The one and the other is the same. The way we refer to ourselves will be reflected in our relationships. The way we think in our minds will be reflected in our relationships. As within, so without. These two seemingly, apparently separate worlds are actually bridged. And this is the challenge. Can we bridge these worlds? Can we bridge lunar eclipse with Vesta, my ritual, my practice? This is what I want. This is what I need. This is my direction. This is who I am as an individual person. This is what makes me who I am, my story. Can we integrate that with Juno Lilith in Libra, which is I feel included, I feel a part of. I feel this is fair. I feel I am sharing. There is an exchange that's going on, and it is happening harmoniously. There is no conflict. There is no tension. Here is the goal, which is why the moon's north node is with Juno, is with Lilith. And Mercury's going to go retrograde and pass Juno, pass Lilith, past the sun, go to that moon's north node. The goal here is directly, can we live more harmoniously in our lives? By integrating what we need as individuals with the needs of other people, out of love and respect, not just for ourselves, but our surrounding environment as well. And this is a bridging of a paradox. Can I simultaneously be who I am as an individual and simultaneously exist in a world of infinite other individuals? How do I do so in a way where I am not confiscating my individuality? And here's the thing. If we go that route, what happens this week is spontaneous eruptions and reactions. You can't confiscate who you are. You can't sacrifice yourself ultimately, the same way as you can't confiscate or sacrifice the other ultimately, because it just so happens that they are fundamentally one and the same, just differing in apparent nature. So, can we bridge these two? When we are dealing with interference, when we are dealing with conflict and frustration and things not always working out perfectly, Mars square to Saturn, I had a schedule, I had a regiment, it was going to go this way, this way, this way, 2 to 5, 5 to 7, there's no breaks in between here, and then the car breaks down, something gets in the way. Interference is here. Things don't always happen the way we intend it to happen. And what might be a nice way to practice forgiving ourselves in times like these? Well, my personal practice that I realized is it's not a big deal all the time. I personally tend to carry so much weight, like I need to do things perfectly, that sometimes that's what we need to hear in order to be more flexible. Is it's not a big deal. Life will go on. This is a challenge, but there is learning that's coming out of it. And learning means that you don't do things perfectly. Yes, all the greats, all the wisest people in the world say you learn from your mistakes. But do we forgive ourselves for them? For the mistakes? They're not real mistakes. This is learning in action. This is evolution in action. Furthermore, this lunar eclipse really brings up the issue of, can we do it alone? And the answer is no. You cannot ever do it alone. And this goes from a surface level to a very, very, very deep spiritual level of realization. We've also had this Jupiter opposite to Neptune that's still going on. This is another reason why it's super important to detach, let go, release, comfort, try to relax what might tighten up inside of us this week. Because if we can relax, then we can fall back into our deeper nature. What's behind, you know. There's like the little me in front of the screen, and there's the I that's viewing. You know, let's get back into this deeper spiritual nature, in which case we can have real, powerful, emotional breakthroughs, spiritual realizations that is taking us into a deeper seat of mastery. This is what's going on. And can we do it alone? No, you cannot do it alone. For example, there's this concept that when you practice a religion, you have to practice one religion. Do that one religion. Don't look into the other religions. Oh, if you're going to read that philosophy, read that philosophy. Don't read other philosophies. And I am always telling you, whenever anybody says that or distributes that, it's a red flag to get away. Because you can't do it alone. What happens if you only practice one perspective is you only see from one perspective. And this can lead to you becoming very easily delusional. Because you see the world all right, but you see it from one set of eyes. And there are more eyes in this world, seeing from different angles, different perspectives. And how do you learn about reality? Do you learn about reality by opening one book, by referring to one teacher, by doing one practice? This is my way, this is my practice, this is what I do. We cannot do it alone. We cannot do it alone, because you will become detached from reality and you will get screwed. You will get screwed. You will get thrown against the rocks and bashed open. Following those types of mentalities. There's only one way, don't look anywhere else, is how you get lost You get detached from reality. We need other people to teach us, to learn from. This is how life works. And Black Moon Lilith and Juno is saying, take me back. Take back the other. Understand that you need to work in harmonious relationships in order for you to persevere, in order for you to learn and evolve. It doesn't mean you have to be married, it doesn't mean blah, 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 but you must interact with other human beings on this particular planet at this particular time. There's too many of us here. There's no way to get around from it. We can try and go off into the monastery, read the one particular book, and get thoroughly detached from reality, thrown against the rocks, and then come back here and have to learn the hard way. Or we can understand that reality is being seen from innumerable perspectives and point of views, and therefore we learn what reality fundamentally is by listening, just as much as we might like to shut ourselves away and only tune into ourselves sometimes. We need to listen to others. We need to hear other people's perspectives. This is how we learn and grow. 2 weeks ago I put out a video, Solar Eclipse in Virgo. It's the most popular video I've put out so far. I got so many compliments. This is amazing. Thank you so much for teaching me about Virgo. Do you think that I learned about this by myself? I'm not even very Virgo. Do you think that I read a particular book, or I went to a particular teacher and they said, here is the master key to Virgo. You're going to share this with everybody? No, I learned about Virgo through my partner, who is extremely Virgo. And through her, living with her, experiencing life with her, I have learned about the suppression and misunderstanding of Virgo, because she's extremely Virgo. And so it's all there, it's all apparent. Our interactions, our challenges, our fights, our little debates, all of these things, these tense little blah, blah, blah. Is it fair? Is it equal? I don't know. Is the monastic thing working? I don't know. Is the religion thing working? This has been a huge challenge. And we learn through challenges. We learn through relationship. We learn through partnership. The mistake of Libra is thinking that it's all fun and games. And you get a girlfriend, you go out, you get ice cream, and you go home, you sleep in the bed, and there's never any fighting. And if there's fighting or if there's debate, well, that's an unhealthy relationship. This is a time where interferences and challenges will make themselves apparent. This is life. There's nothing wrong with this. What we must do in order to persevere is accept the challenge and see it as an opportunity for mastery. And that means, and this is typically how it goes, if you're up for it, it's tough at first. You will get frustrated. You will get challenged. There will be interferences. And it pisses us off. We clench up. We feel all the stuff. And then we have to practice. I'm going to practice letting go. I'm going to practice breathing. I'm going to practice detachment from these thoughts so I can get into my feelings, so I can get into my deeper nature. This is a practice. And then going through the motions, doing things differently. Oh, I had the regiment. Forced to do things differently. Everything fell to shit. Have to do things differently. By doing the practice, doing the work, the benefits make themselves apparent, and you learn, you evolve, and you become a greater master. Do this time after time after time after time after time, forever, and you will start to understand that all of the pain, suffering, and challenges in our life are in fact gifts to us, to help us to get into greater and greater rungs of love. This Aries Libra polarity is the polarity of self and other. There is an apparent disconnection here, but is there really? No, they are one and the same. The way you treat yourself, the way you think about yourself, your practices will automatically create how our relationships, how our interactions go. Why? Because how you treat yourself forms your unique perspective. Then you take your unique perspective out there in the world and you put it with other perspectives and you watch and see what happens. And then we learn and grow. And the real opportunity here, the real long-term goal, as we have mentioned, is the restoring of balance and harmony between the fundamental masculine and feminine. We are inviting Lilith back into the Garden of Eden. Oh, you didn't want to be a submissive, beaten housewife. Well, you got a good point. You should probably come back here and we'll work something out. Juno was the beaten, submissive housewife of Jupiter. Well, Juno, that's not actually your role. You don't have to actually be that. Come back here. We'll work something out. We'll work out some balance. We'll work out some harmony. So this is a time where love is happening. And this is another thing that many people don't understand about love. When there are challenges, when there are obstructions to love, it is the same as there being an obstruction or a little dam to a flowing river. It redoubles the force, it redoubles the force, it redoubles the force until it breaks through, and then the force is redoubled. The love is redoubled by the amount of challenges, of obstacles that we encounter. The challenges and obstacles are not your enemy, my friends. They are what is increasing our love and our capability to be in harmony and balance with one another. So let us step up to it. Yes, the Sabian symbol for this lunar eclipse is two lovers are strolling through a secluded park lane. This is talking about the fullness in participation together. We are all fundamentally different, being unique individual souls. This does not mean that we are separate from one another. It just means that we have different perspectives. And by learning from each other's different perspectives, we gain an understanding of reality. And by understanding reality, who we are, why we're here, then we can be in love. We can exist in beauty and harmony. And this is what I wish for you, and I'm wishing all the best for yourself and your beloveds. Namaste.